try and set the stage for what should be a great year of NFL action.
There's a handful of teams that potentially can compete for a Super Bowl championship.
Confusion and uncertainty this year more than some in the past.
This team looks like it's ready to make a move, but we just don't know if it's bad or good this year.
J.J. McCarthy is eventually going to take over, but it's a no-lose situation for them.
I mean, they suck. They were 7-10.
Only on SportsGrid.
I'm talking about playing Keontae George, Taylor Hendricks, Isaiah Collier, the rookie, Cody Williams, the rookie, Bryce Sansamore, second year, maybe keeping Walker Kessler. That means either Danny Ainge thinks that they're going to be a championship team in 3 to 4 years, or he's going to wait 1 year and he's going to trade Lauri Markkanen and he's going to get the farm.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The bottom of this field is a bunch of guys, quite frankly, that aren't on the tour, aren't on the DP tour, aren't on the Korn Ferry tour.
You know, the top 25 or so in this field, I mean, you've got Rory, you've got Lowry, you've got Scheffler, you know, all four Americans, Minwoo Lee and Jason Day. And you go to Mito Pereira and Joaquin Neiman out of Chile. So, you know, it really is pretty deep.
In-game live, prime time, only on
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, the pitch, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. The Friday Night Freak Show has begun. We've got a full house. We're locked and loaded. We're throwing it down for 120 minutes this evening. So we've got a lot of stuff to get to, including CFL football, NFL preseason football. Countdown to kickoff is on. The college football regular season starts in 8 days. That's right. It almost feels like, does it really? I mean, I've been talking about this, and, you know, I'm hardcore. I remember I had a countdown on. I was like, oh, it's 100 days away. It's 80 days away. It's 50 days out. We're only 33 days away from the start of college football. Pretty much every day this summer, you know what I mean? I've been like, oh, we're this many days away. And it sort of hit me. I was like, man, is it really like 1 week now? Is it 8 days already? It's here. We've been talking about, we've got a lot of work to do. You got 134 teams to break down. That's not even including the FCS. We got 134 teams to break down. Win totals, everything else in between. So it's go time. Steve Merrill steps up and joins us tonight. We'll talk some Major League Baseball, NFL preseason with Steve Merrill. Lou Gamblu in the house. There's so many UFC cards that it's, you know, it's easy to not realize when there's a good one. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many of them. I was like, I kind of knew there was a card. I was like, oh, what is it? One of these Apex cards again this week? What do we got, right? You know, what do we got this week in the UFC? I was like, oh, no. It's actually Duplessis and Adesanya. It's actually one of the real pay-per-views, like a good one. So it's like the battle. We got some big, like, feuds to settle. And we'll get into it. I look forward to seeing what Lou has to say about this. I was talking about this fight with Scott Farrell earlier in the day, and I said, you know, I've been hearing good things about Adesanya, but I got to be honest with you. I don't trust him, right? I don't really trust him, and I think the style of fighter that Duplessis is, you know, he probably could win this fight, right? So it's basically a toss-up. It's a pick-em. That's what makes it such a good fight. You know, the whole thing is, will he be able to keep his cardio? Like, the fight goes long, people think Adesanya will win on points, or that Duplessis will just sort of beat him early, as Adesanya's had some problems with powerful punchers that just sort of go right at him. And I think that's what he's going to do. He's going to go right at him. So we'll get into this. Football game. Weird game tonight. Big-time game, important game. The games in the CFL are starting to count a little bit earlier in the season than they normally do. And we got a first-place team with the Montreal Alouettes who they don't have a sense of urgency tonight, the Alouettes. They're an 8-1 football team. They're going to win their division, right? They're defending champions. They've got a ton of backups playing tonight, but they're battling. Meanwhile, the Rough Riders got their quarterback back tonight in Trevor Harris. Yet Shea Patterson was playing good football, and I was almost worried. I was like, I said this last night. I was like, all this old Harris is back. I think it's almost going to set the offense back, to be honest. It's 7-7 right now with 3 minutes left in the first half. Yet it hasn't been a pure 7-7, I'll tell you that. The Rough Riders have kicked 2 field goals, kicked 2 field goals, missed 2 field goals. They got an extra point and a couple of field goals, or the single point and a couple of field goals. And the Alouettes actually got a clean touchdown at extra point. So if you're just tuning in and you think it's a normal, look, it's 7-7. Yeah, it was 1-0 right before. It was like, it was 3-1, 6-1, and here we are, 7-7 right now. So I kind of figured, as low scoring as it was, that, this thing will still open up. It's a CFL football game. They generally do. 7-7 in-game total right now is 41.5. We're going into the 3-minute warning in the first half. So basically, if you think that the Rough Riders are going to score on this drive, I would take the over. And you know what? I think the Rough Riders are going to score on this drive. And if not, they'll get stopped and Montreal will kick a field goal or they'll both score with 3 minutes left. They're both good defenses, though. So I don't think it's going to turn into an all-out track meet. But 7-7, we're at 14. 3 minutes in the CFL is a lot of time here in the first half left. So I'm expecting some more points. We're already pretty much all in on this football game, so why stop now, right? Let's go the over 41.5 right now. Last night, we jumped in-game total. We told you over 58.5. We hit that, but we had an over 60.5 as well, and it got to 60. You can't hesitate, though. If you think it's going to open up, and I think it will, not to mention, anybody that follows the CFL knows the Rough Riders are a second-half team. We talked about it with the Calgary Stampeders last night, right? So trust me on this. What did I tell you last night with the Stampeders? So take them plus 8.5. There's going to be points in the second half. And for whatever reason, the Rough Riders games always get crazy in the second half. Trevor Harris is just back starting right now. So you have a quarterback that hasn't played in about a month or whatever. I would expect him to start to get more comfortable as the game goes on as well. So we just jumped in right now. Over 41.5. Major League Baseball. Speaking of games that are starting to count, listen, the people that run baseball are a bunch of dumbass clowns. But there are some important baseball games and series going on. And the Boston Red Sox, real track meet right now, 12-9 over the Baltimore Orioles. We're in the top of the 8th inning. They're minus 1,400 on the money line right now. Plus 900, you can get the Baltimore Orioles. The Los Angeles Dodgers need, listen, the Dodgers, it's only the Dodgers having a bad year. And every damn day, the Dodgers sort of get someone back, and then they lose somebody. Tyler Glass now goes on the injured list. You can't make this up. It's just constant with the Los Angeles Dodgers. But the fact of the matter is, San Diego and Arizona are both winning baseball games all the time right now. And we've got a battle for the division. So the Dodgers, of course, in the Midwest, they were taking on the Brew Crew. Now they're taking on the St. Louis Cardinals on the road. This game's gone back and forth. It's 7-6 Dodgers right now, top of the 7th inning. We gave you a Mookie Betts home run prop tonight, a plus 475. Mookie Betts does go deep. Yeah, to be honest with you, I took that prop because he murders Mikolas, the pitcher. He didn't hit the home run against Mikolas. That's the whole thing. People always talk, starting pitching. Yeah, whatever. These starting pitchers are barely in the game. Shohei Ohtani's 0 for 4 somehow right now. And the Dodgers are winning 7-6. So Mookie Betts 1 for 3. He's got to walk. He has hit that home run. Freddie Freeman's 1 for 3 as well. I got some total base props rocking. I was just going to say, first down for the Rough Riders, but he dropped the ball. Big time hit by the Montreal Alouettes. So the Alouettes are going to be getting the ball back, it looks like here. Man, he held on to that ball for a while, too. That would have been a big play, man. It would have been first down on like the 35-yard line of the Alouettes, but great defense. That's how you do it right there. Timed it perfectly. Buddy on the Riders is bringing the ball in. He has absolutely smoked them. You know what? I know a lot of people, these teams, when they punt from midfield, they don't want to get the single point. They want to pin the team deep. I'm different. As somebody that bets on the overs in these games, I'm like, I'll take every point I can get. And they add up, right? There's a big difference. 15, okay, it's better than 14. All right, so he just tried to cough and corner this thing. All right, they got him at the 10-yard line, actually. There's $1:47 left, so we'll see if it works out and they get the ball back. NFL football. We'll get into the preseason, regular season rapidly approaching. Good news is there wasn't any major injuries today. Well, I shouldn't say that because there's always going to be injuries, but like the Bengals tackle, Dante Smith, suffered a patellar tendon injury today. That's not good. Not a star player, but you lose players on the offensive line. That's not good. Justin Herbert removed the boot from his foot, and Justin Herbert is starting to ease back into things right now. The Los Angeles Chargers are feeling a lot better about Herbert, and word out of Los Angeles is that Herbert will be good to go for Week 1 when they take on the Las Vegas Raiders. Got the Raiders and Cowboys tomorrow night. It's a hot ticket in Las Vegas because of the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are that popular that they even sell tickets in the preseason. They're also getting 6.5 points. Let's roll.
This property runs this community. A lot of people from this community work here. They're proud of this. This has got a lot of history here. And then when you think about the beauty with the hills, the mountains, the trees, the water.
One thing about this place is one of the words he kept saying, family. It's a place that when my family and everyone comes, they treat you like family. They treat you like you're one of their own. And it's, obviously when you look at the place, you look at the rooms, everything, it's like taking a step back in time. And I think that's an absolutely amazing place to be able to put your phone down and slow everything down. I mean, the world these days is so fast. Everything has to get done so quickly. And every time I've come here with my family at Greenbrier, it's like everything stops and it's slow motion. You actually get to enjoy life, enjoy your time with family.
Just this place feels like I'm a kid again. You get out here, you see nature, you see the trails, you see going on a hike. I grew up in Fresno. We'd go up to the mountains every once in a while, and that's just kind of what it feels like a little bit. Obviously, it's more forested here and whatnot, but the 58, I don't know how to explain it, just kind of semi-blacked out, you can kind of say. It was one of those moments where the last 4 holes, I was obviously trying to win a tournament, but it started to rain, and I just kept focusing on my game. I didn't get outside of this bubble that I created with myself. I just wanted to focus on hitting the next best shot. And I think that's what really pushed me on to focusing on, obviously winning the tournament, but to shoot in the 50s and then ultimately make the 40-footer on the last hole for 58. That was just the cherry on top. And what a special moment, a special place in my heart forever, and probably one of the most special moments in my entire life.
The Friday Night Freak Show has begun. This is SportsRage. I'm Morency, Sirius XM Channel 159 on the SportsGrid Radio and Television Networks, 8 days away. So next Friday at this time, we'll be breaking down Florida State and Georgia Tech, SMU, and Nevada. And then the following weekend, we've got the heavyweights stepping up and in. We got Miami and Florida going head-to-head in Week 1. Clemson and Georgia going head-to-head in Week 1. The Texas A&M Aggies host the Notre Dame Fighting Irish on Saturday night. Michigan open up the defense of their championship against Fresno State on the same Saturday night. Alabama playing Western Kentucky. All kinds of big-time and cool games coming up in 15 days' time. So it's getting real right now, but 8 days away from the start of the college football campaign. We got a CFL game going on right now. And the Alouettes are a beat-up football team. They got a backup quarterback. They don't have their star wide receiver. And here they are right now battling in a low-scoring affair so far. 7-7, 20 seconds left in the first half. I think they're going to probably add 3 points on here if they don't miss the kick. They're on the 37-yard line right now, so they're probably going to have a 10-7 lead at the half. Cam Stewart in the house. We've got Major League Baseball Steve Merrill kicking it with us as well. Dodgers up 7-6, mid-7 right now. White Sox up on the Astros tonight. That'd be a big upset if the White Sox can pull it off. And we got the Colorado Rockies up 6-3. How you doing, Cam? Good to see you, Steve.
Nice to see you, Gabe. SUX.
What's up,
boys? The White
I'm surprised that hasn't been trademarked yet. That's mine. That's mine. I haven't heard that yet.
I want a White Sox jersey. But anyway, they've been playing a hell of a lot better with Brady Sizemore there, I'll tell you that, than the Stooge I had before. At least they're trying now. You got to hand it to them. They're grinding.
How you doing, Steve?
Steve.
So I was talking about this about 3 days ago. They were at 24% for the season. I pulled up the worst records ever. In the modern era since 1901, no team has lost more than 120 games. That was a 40-120 New York Mets team back in 1992. They were on a pace early this week at 24% to lose 123 games. That's how bad this White Sox team is. They're now at 238. So as you said, Cam, they've won 8. They've won 2 of their last 10, so they've actually pulled ahead a little bit of that record pace.
I think it'd be a nice T-shirt. It would sell well in Chicago. And, it's contest season now. We've got the Circus Survivor coming up, Steve and Cam. And I said, you know what, $10 million. And I said, why not me? Sort of like, and you see the T-shirts the teams have, in the playoffs. Why not us? The start of the NCAA tournament. Then I realized, I'm like, instead of why not me, I should get the shirt. Why not Morency? I love like a big M.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not Morency? Why not? But, all right, the field goal is good. So we're going to, as I say, we're going to be going into the locker rooms here with a 10-7 lead for the Montreal Alouettes. The Rough Riders kicker missed 2 chip shot field goals. That's why there'd be some more points on the board right now. But so we know the White Sox, one thing that they're good at is having leads and blowing these leads, guys. What do you think? The White Sox are minus 115 now. The Astros are minus 115. It's the top of the 7th inning. So you've got 9 outs still, Steve, with the Astros at minus 115. That's not a bad bet.
Well, first of all, they had Crochet on the mound tonight, an all-star, so they were still a 270 or 220 underdog. Astros were as high as 270 in some spots. They're up 4-3. Yeah, I mean, it's flipping a coin, but it's still 50-50. They only have a 4-3 lead. I definitely think Houston's probably worth a look still.
They have runners on first and second of White Sox, too, right now, Cam, but that's why we're getting 115. They get these guys out. It's going to move to like 150 in a second here. I got to get to this.
Right.
I'm jumping in. I'm taking
this.
Houston to come back and win this game.
They could very well. I was just saying, Gabe, the last time, remember that night against the Yankees where it was like minus 2.5 and minus 7.5? That's very rare. It was one time with the White Sox.
They were winning 10-0.
Yeah. They were.
It was a little different.
Oh, they killed the Yankees. Like, it was just I'm telling you though, it was a close game and they laid it on thick. That's all. Yes, it happened once in a blue moon, so it's probably not going to happen again. But that was a special night.
Well, we're here to get picks. So my pick is the Houston Astros.
Yeah,
win 23.5%.
One thing, I don't know, Steve, if you have the numbers up in front of you, actually, their first 5 record. What's their first 5 inning record? Because it's been profitable. Because they're in games.
That, of course, is because of
and
Crochet.
They're underdogs.
I mean, well, part of that's probably because of Crochet, right? Because they've had one of the better starting pitchers in baseball. Be very careful
Not
with him,
just
by the
him.
way. He hasn't been as good.
Steve, I wish I had all these numbers in front of us. I'd like to look up blown leads from the 6th, 7th inning on. You'd be amazed. The White Sox often have a lead late, and they blow it all the time.
True.
Well, one thing that's been consistent is they're bad when you're a historically bad team like they are, maybe the worst ever, you're bad everywhere pretty much, but their offense has been atrocious. So if they've had some leads in the first 5, those have probably been unders as well, would be my guess, because they don't score a lot. They average about 2.5 runs a game. But real quick on Crochet, pitched okay tonight, I think. But this is a guy that's a converted reliever. A month ago, before the trade deadline, he was in all that talk. He had already pitched more innings this year than any time in his career when he used to be in the bullpen. And he had Tommy John surgery a couple years ago. I'd be very careful with him the rest of this season when he does start.
Could be a couple of upsets in the making tonight. Specifically, as we stated, the Colorado Rockies are up 6-3 on San Diego right now. We're in the top of the sixth inning. You're getting plus 220 with San Diego. The in-game total is 14.5 in that game. And, Steve, the Red Sox have been a play-on team, actually, for a little while now. They've played themselves into the wild card contention. And we've talked a lot about Baltimore. Now, Baltimore have runners on first and third. They're down 12-10. There's 2 outs right now. They're at the bottom of the 8th inning, but this Baltimore team, Steve, has hit a wall. It's been like 2 months. They're a 500 baseball team, and I don't have confidence in them going into the playoffs, to be honest.
Well, I think the worst news tonight for Baltimore is that Burns got shelled, because I do think their starting pitching probably not as good as some other teams in both leagues that could be, World Series contenders. And Burns is a guy they brought in this year from Milwaukee that was supposed to be an ace. I think he gave up like 8 runs in 4 innings tonight, so we need to see him right the ship at his next start.
Cam, any action for you on the Braves and Angels tonight? Still scoreless in that baseball game. And the Brew Crew are leading the Guardians 5-0 right now.
I'm just shocked with the Brewers. They took care of business against the Dodgers, came back, and Yelich gets hurt, and they're winning again. Gabe, you talk about the Guardians as a bugaboo. Like, this Milwaukee Brewers team, to me, deserves an award. I don't know how they do it, but they've just consistently been good. I want to take the Angels, but that's a recipe for lost units. So I'm going to let this one slide and just bet on the CFL Live.
See, we think differently because I was like, I might just blindly bet on the Braves here. Just because they're playing the Angels. I'm like,
I like
the
my
Angels.
dogs
I'll take the Braves.
Yeah.
This property runs this community. A lot of people from this community work here. They're proud of this. This has got a lot of history here. And then when you think about the beauty with the hills, the mountains, the trees, the water.
One thing about this place is one of the words he kept saying, family. It's a place that when my family, everyone comes, they treat you like family. They treat you like you're one of their own. And it's, obviously when you look at the place, you look at the rooms, everything, it's like taking a step back in time. And I think that's an absolutely amazing place to be able to put your phone down and slow everything down. I mean, the world these days is so fast. Everything has to get done so quickly. And every time I've come here with my family at Greenbrier, it's like everything stops and it's slow motion. You actually get to enjoy life, enjoy your time with family.
Just this place feels like I'm a kid again. You get out here, you see nature, you see the trails, you see going on a hike. I grew up in Fresno. We go up to the mountains every once in a while, and that's just kind of what it feels like a little bit. Obviously, it's more forested here and whatnot, but the 58, I don't know how to explain it, just kind of semi-blacked out, you can kind of say. It was one of those moments where the last 4 holes, I was obviously trying to win a tournament, but it started to rain, and I just kept focusing on my game. I didn't get outside of this bubble that I created with myself. I just wanted to focus on hitting the next best shot. And I think that's what really pushed me on to focusing on obviously winning the tournament, but to shoot in the 50s and then ultimately make the 40-foot on the last hole for 58. That was just the cherry on top. And what a special moment, a special place in my heart forever, and probably one of the most special moments of my entire life.
So let's get to the preseason here because we're only on for 120 minutes. We've got a bunch of guests, so we're on the clock here. But the Rams, and guys, I've been talking about this for years. We always get a laugh out of it about how much Sean McVay hates the preseason. He doesn't hide it. He likes training camp. Like, he takes practices and seriously, but the actual preseason games, he's not a fan of. And he really, it made me look smart on this. He's not even coaching a game tomorrow, guys. He's like, oh, it's a chance for one of my assistants to showcase, and he's earned it. Yeah, he's earned it. You don't want to show up. That's like a radio host, Cam, that works like an 8 a.m. Sunday shift telling some kid, you've earned it, kid. You go do it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
you come on after the fishing show. Yeah, exactly. Sean McVay's like, hey, he's earned it. I don't want. I'm not standing there for 4. I bet you McDermott told his wife, thank God I'll be up in the suite. I won't have to stand there for 4 hours. Like, you know what I mean, Steve? But how about this? How I think. Now you got the assistant and the player's going to be a little more fired up for him.
Not only that, he's playing for him.
Great
exactly. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I think this negates the whole angle. Exactly.
Yeah.
That is a huge
Thank
angle.
you, Steve. I'm glad you guys agree. That's the first thing I thought. I'm like, man, they'll love the assistant coaches, the players. They're going to play for this guy now because they're going to want to make him look good.
The best is Brett. People
I don't think it's the players.
Whatever. They're going to be so damn fired up for this guy. And think about this guy wins and stuff. Like how big it is when you actually get
sort of like Sherrod Moore, Steve and Cam. And you said all about the players, but I don't know what your point is. But say we're like what Michigan last year. It's like, all right, we're not going to let Harbaugh down. We're not, now we're going to support Moore, and Moore ended up getting the job after. So it's like a little audition thing. But what was your point going to be, Steve?
Well, I was going to say, first of all, other than the starters, all the guys are playing hard, even for McVay, because they're playing for. But the differences in the game planning, the effort, whether you go for it, you kick field, it's like trying to win are two different things. And I think the players will be fired up. The starters will be more fired up. But I think the assistant coach will play to win. It's the only game he's coaching all year. You know what I mean? So I do think it's a very strange element. To put in perspective how bad the Rams have been, I think they lost every game last year by 17 points or more. I mean, they weren't even in the games.
They won by 1 last week despite throwing. They threw 4 interceptions, and that's the definition of we won by accident. Like we didn't even try to win, and we won.
Gabe, they opened as a 1-point favorite this week against the Chargers. Now they're a 2.5 point dog, and I think some of that's because Stafford got hurt yesterday. Correct, so that might be why that line moved for what that's worth. But
and let me tell you something though.
Herbert's not playing tomorrow, bro, and they got Easton Stick who sucks, and they have no backups. And Harbaugh doesn't care about the preseason. He cares less than the Rams do.
You are absolutely correct. I watched every snap of that Seahawks Chargers game. The Seahawks could have won that game by 40, Gabe. Honestly, at the end, they were just pounding it. McIntosh for 20. Ding, ding, ding. Owl came in. The Chargers, very vanilla. They can't afford to get anybody else hurt. This is a great spot. I think we got to get on this now. I love the Rams. Love, love, love.
And there's been a lot of live movement in the Steve Merrill special, the William and Mary Bowl tomorrow.
The alumni game.
The William and Mary Bowl. So Steve went to William and Mary same time. Tallman and McDermott were our buddies, and going head to head here tomorrow. Both teams got punched in the mouth in their game last week.
Right.
Chicago destroyed the Buffalo Bills, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Steelers tried harder. Actually, they just weren't as good. They sloppy. Exchanges with the quarterback, and it just sort of got away from them. Tomlin is one of the best preseason coaches historically, guys. So we have that to hang our hat on. I can also tell you McDermott does not care about the preseason, as we saw last week. I think Pittsburgh's the play, Steve, in a low-scoring game here tomorrow. And in fact, I'm surprised the total's 39 freaking points.
Really crazy line move in this one. Teddy Covers and I talked about this game at noon Eastern, about 12:30 Eastern this afternoon on Friday on Wager Talk Today, and Teddy actually liked Buffalo plus 5.5, and the total was 37.5 at the time. Went up to 39, and then a couple hours after that, it went from 5.5 down to 1.5, which is the current point spread. So we saw a huge buyback on Buffalo. Teddy thinks the Bills will come to play, but I'm with you, Gabe. I mean, the Steelers are coming off a bad showing. They're at home, and Tomlin has shown more of an effort in the preseason over the years. And both guys know each other well. I'm not sure that's a factor here, but it is fun to talk about. But yeah, both
Tomlin
teams could
called
be on
out
play
Justin
on spots.
Fields.
He did.
And so that's sort of for real too. And he didn't mock him, but he just said, he goes, he did some good things, but he goes, the exchanges, that's on him too. It negated a lot of good things he did. And Russell Wilson's got something to show too to his teammates. You know what I mean? He's got to show you, I can get you the ball. I look good. Don't worry about it. I got this. So to me, the Steelers
got Kyle
are
Allen,
play.
I believe, also, don't they? And Kyle Allen's got some experience as well. Yeah, I think that quarterback rotation coming off a loss at home is pretty tempting.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Sean.
Steve.
This property runs this community. A lot of people from this community work here. They're proud of this. This has got a lot of history here. And then when you think about the beauty with the hills, the mountains, the trees, the water.
One thing about this place is one of the words he kept saying, family. It's a place that when my family and everyone comes, they treat you like family. They treat you like you're one of their own. And it's, obviously when you look at the place, you look at the rooms, everything, it's like taking a step back in time. And I think that's an absolutely amazing place. Be able to put your phone down and slow everything down. I mean, the world these days is so fast. Everything has to get done so quickly. And every time I've come here with my family at Greenbrier, it's like everything stops and it's slow motion. You actually get to enjoy life, enjoy your time with family.
Just this place feels like I'm a kid again. You get out here and you see nature, you see the trails, you see going on a hike. I grew up in Fresno. We'd go up to the mountains every once in a while, and that's just kind of what it feels like a little bit. And obviously it's more forested here and whatnot, but the 58, I don't know how to explain it, just kind of semi-blacked out, you can kind of say. It was one of those moments where the last 4 holes, I was obviously trying to win a tournament, but it started to rain, and I just kept focusing on my game. I didn't get outside of this bubble that I created with myself. I just wanted to focus on hitting the next best shot. And I think that's what really pushed me on to focusing on, obviously winning the tournament, but to shoot in the 50s and then ultimately make the 40-foot on the last hole for 58. That was just the cherry on top. And what a special moment, a special place in my heart forever, and probably one of the most special moments in my entire life.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. Let's do this thing. The pistol players, the hustlers, the people, the bust them, and everybody else in between. The real D-Man tweets in and says, is there a number for Brock Bowers to make the Hall of Fame? Give me the number. You know what? I'm surprised sportsbooks haven't come up with that prop yet, because they'll get to hang on to your money for 15 years. So you just gave him a great idea. If I was a sportsbook, I'd be like, yeah, let's start taking a player. Will Caleb Williams make the Hall of Fame? Think about it, Lou. You get to hang on to the money for 12 years' time. You know what I'm saying? If you're the sportsbook, I'd take that all day long.
Unreal.
Yeah, they do it in England. Yes. They do it in England, where in England you can walk in and you can say, you got to bring the birth certificate of your son and everything. You can say, listen, I think my kid's going to play for England in the World Cup in 24 years from now. And they'll give you odds for it.
And he won.
Yeah, McIlroy's family have bet on him. It's a big thing in England. The future, the long-term future betting. That's the patient man's bet. Will a player make the Hall of Fame? But for the record, D-Man, I do agree with you. I think Brock Bowers is amazing. Unfortunately, they don't have a quarterback. All right, Lou, good to see you. We got this card. Like I said earlier off the top of the program, there's cards every week. There's a lot of stuff going on in the sports world. There's cards every week. But it's hard. This one snuck up on me that I was like, oh, this is a real one. This isn't one of these Apex ones, Contender Series style. This is a big one. We've got scores to settle, so to speak. So let's get right after it as far as the main event is concerned. I brought it up briefly earlier. I said the style bender Adesanya. We've seen he's had problems with straightforward strikers. Nothing cute, lunch pail type of fighters that don't let him set up and don't let him get too cute. And it seems like the Duplessis is exactly that type of fighter, but can he maintain a pace? Because I'm not a big fan of Strickland out of the octagon, but the fact is that crazy dude can keep up a high tempo for the entire fight. Duplessis isn't known as having that type of tank, Lou. Very interesting fight, and it's basically a near pick'em right now.
A lot of thoughts, Gabriel. First of all, thanks for having me on, guys. This main event is great. There's hatred here between these two guys. there's this African thing going on. Duplessis is South African.
Oh, it's
Izzy,
real hatred, too. This isn't fake smack
African and
talk.
South African hate each other. That's not cool.
Well, and then, Izzy's the Nigerian who's now living in New Zealand. So they're taking pot shots at one another. Izzy's been awful emotional this camp. Normally, Gabriel, what I would say to you is for me to look and see an Israel Adesanya fight lined at Pick'em. Let's forget Pick'em. Let's start at opening when Adesanya was minus 140. Where you find him minus 140 in the last 5 years, you haven't. And so that is a tremendous discount that seems really appealing. However, since I've seen him this week, he's been awful emotional, crying in the press conferences and such. This is really a hatred fight to him. I worry about Adesanya being 35 and too emotional. As well, we know that prior fights before this, he was having trouble with Strickland, who came right at him. However, when he was in shape and at the top of his game, Duplessis, a fighter like Duplessis, is made for Adesanya. However, he showed he got a DUI or he had some altercation with the cops and drinking before his Strickland fight, which tells me that there were some corrodents entering Izzy's repertoire. And whether that is because he was bored or not, I'm not sure. But he's 35, and I go back and forth over this. I think the easiest way for me to tell everybody how I feel about this fight is that I'm not betting it. I have very little clue or passion about either way this could go. At the end of the day, if you got a gun to my head, I'd say Adesanya decision.
That's what I was going to ask you. So, you're having a hard time with the side. And anytime, I've told people that for years. I've been betting fights for years. And I always told people, anytime I flip-flop or I'm unsure, I usually end up losing my bet in the end. Like if I force the bet, right? You know what I mean? Like to me, fight betting, it's a lot like NFL. Sort of like that Sunday night, you know what I mean? When you see the lines for the first time, you kind of know right away. Right, you'll know. If you don't you'll see. And I find out when with MMA, like my initial instinct is usually right, but sometimes I don't always have an initial instinct. Sometimes some of these fights are freaking hard, and it's like I don't know. You can make a case for this guy, you can make a case for that guy, and for me, it's almost like if someone had a hammer to my head, Lou, I would be like, you know what? Give me the South African. You know what I mean? Like you said, Adesanya. We've talked about it for years. One thing with Adesanya, you change a little bit. The podcast, the money, Lou, the attitude. He's the one that started all this stuff with this guy about him not being a real African and stuff. And I like what he told him back. He goes, bro, you don't even live in Africa. I do. He goes, you don't even live there. He goes, you're so African, how come you moved? He goes, I actually live in South Africa, right? So it was a good little back and forth there. They'll be all buddies after the fight and stuff, whatever. But I'm going to go, yeah. Nah, you know what, Lou? We've seen worse. They're going to hug and stuff. I'm not saying they're going to go to the club together, but.
Okay, all right. I'll go there with you.
Yeah. Well, look, do you ever think that Daniel Cormier and John Jones would be chumming it up like they are now? Come on.
They ain't chumming it up. They ain't chumming it up.
Dude, it's nowhere near the old hatred. Like, what fighters are big rivals
it's 7 years ago. It's 7 years old.
Yeah, that's my point. But what fighters that don't like each other haven't liked each other after for years? Very few of them. I've seen a lot of guys that.
Yeah, it's like Frazier had this thing for Ali, and probably rightfully so. But you're right. Most of those guys have tremendous respect for each other because they went in there, beat the brains out of each other so many times.
Yeah, there's got to be, exactly. I'm not saying some people don't like I don't think people like Conor very much and stuff. I'm sure there's some, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, after, we can hype it up, but I'll go with the South African after. But as far as you think it's correlated, Lou, I brought it up earlier, that the longer the fight goes is better for Adesanya, but I'm looking at over under 3.5. It's minus 145 to the over. The 4.5 is minus 120. Your gut instinct tells you think it is a longer fight.
Yeah, my gut tells me that this fight's going to the decision. I don't see Duplessis is not. I don't see Duplessis catching up with Adesanya. If Adesanya is focused, he's going to use the larger cage and he's going to take it deep and try and tire the bull out, and then stick a couple swords in his back, a la the bullfighter, late in the fight. And I do believe Duplessis is made for Adesanya. I just can't get a really good feeling on Adesanya's head. On the one end, I look at price. Adesanya was minus 600 or 700 against Strickland, and now when Strickland and Duplessis fight in a pick'em fight, now Adesanya and Duplessis come pick'em. What happened to the minus 600 against Strickland? So to me, I can't get over what a huge discount this is on Adesanya. And I can't decide whether I want to take the advantage and bet Adesanya big, or quite honestly, I'm a little suspicious as to why the price on Adesanya is so good.
I think Gabe's right. Feels like bait to make it a pickup.
He's lost 2 of his last 3 fights, so it's the ultimate. This is the ultimate challenge right now from a betting perspective. Is it done? Is that aura over? Is that era over? You know what I mean? Once these badasses lose a couple of times, people aren't scared of them anymore. It just changes. It's like Brock Lesnar was the big beast until Cain Velasquez beat him up. And then I was like, oh, you know what? This guy actually can get beat up, huh? It's amazing how the fight game changes. All right, on the other side, we'll get Lou's take on
A lot of truth to that, Gabriel.
Ursig and France on the other side. Let's go.
This property runs this community. A lot of people from this community work here. They're proud of this. This has got a lot of history here. And then when you think about the beauty with the hills, the mountains, the trees, the water.
One thing about this place is one of the words he kept saying, family. It's a place that when my family and everyone comes, they treat you like family. They treat you like you're one of their own. And it's, obviously when you look at the place, you look at the rooms, everything, it's like taking a step back in time. And I think that's an absolutely amazing place to be able to put your phone down and slow everything down. I mean, the world these days is so fast. Everything has to get done so quickly. And every time I've come here with my family at Greenbrier, it's like everything stops and it's slow motion. You actually get to enjoy life, enjoy your time with family.
Just this place feels like I'm a kid again. You get out here and you see nature, you see the trails, you see going on a hike. I grew up in Fresno. We go up to the mountains every once in a while, and that's just kind of what it feels like a little bit. Obviously, it's more forested here and whatnot, but the 58, I don't know how to explain it. Just kind of semi-blacked out, you can kind of say. It was one of those moments where the last 4 holes, I was obviously trying to win a tournament, but it started to rain, and I just kept focusing on my game. I didn't get outside of this bubble that I created with myself. I just wanted to focus on hitting the next best shot. And I think that's what really pushed me on to focusing on obviously winning the tournament, but to shoot in the 50s and then ultimately make the 40-foot on the last hole for 58. That was just the cherry on top. And what a special moment, a special place in my heart forever, and probably one of the most special moments in my entire life.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. We should have brought this up with Mick Aussie. They're in Australia. Lou's like, man, big party out there, huh? Spill out onto the streets tomorrow night after the fight. Great time. Saturday afternoon fights. Unlike England, the poor bastards. that was hit or miss with the they got into it later, but there was a big lull in the middle of it, man. And it was like, this is what happens. You know, like, what do you think? Just because they're British, that they're going to be all cracked up or something like that, like all night? Like, it was just too much, Cam. It was like 5 a.m, bro. Like, it had a few lulls where it was like, it was really quiet, bro. Yeah. It was just like we talked about. A couple of beers too much. It was like some wait, man, the main event's coming on, buddy. Wait, your favorite fighter's coming on.
When you fire hot, you're gonna be drooling for a while. That's the whole thing. It's hard to run the motor all night. Trust me.
It's not a rave, man. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, okay.
It's not a rave. It's
not a rave.
An MMA fight.
All right, yeah. All right, so Kai Kara France and Urseg. Urseg's a -188 favorite. The book I'm looking at here. Gamrot's big favorite over Dan Hooker. We got a heavyweight battle with Tuivasa and Rosenstruck. So, Lou, you weren't in love with the main event. Too tough of a fight. What do you like on this card? What fights do you want to talk about here? What catches your eye?
Well, let's talk a little about the main card fights. I do like Usyk. I believe what I saw against Pantoja in his last fight. This kid's big for the division. He's well-rounded for the division, and he's going to be a champion in the division. I'm convinced of what I saw in the one fight. Kai Kara France been off about a year. Why has he been off? Over a huge concussion that he had to take plenty of time to recover from, then ease back into combat sports, and now get here to this fight. I don't worry about him because I trust the doctors have watched him appropriately enough, so his health's going to be okay. But he's undersized. Usyk's big, and this is all about Usyk. I think this is a good price on this Steve Usyk that we won't see for a while because he's a future champion in the division, and I think he does have his way with Kai Kara France. You look down the fight, the Hooker, Gamrot, perfect styles make fight because Hooker has to keep it standing to try and strike. Gamrot's going to try and rub his back all over the canvas mat. And where this fight takes place will tell us who's winning. I expect Gamrot to completely smear Hooker all over the floor. Tuivasa, Rosenstruck. Rosenstruck is a formidable striker and a kickboxer. He's a world-class kickboxer. Tai Tuivasa is a big, slow heavyweight. He's lost his last 4, all by finish. I think he's shot. They're giving him a chance here. This is his last big to-do. I think Rosenstruck knocks him out. That's probably how I'll bet that. And then last on the main card, Jing Liang and Carlos Prates. Jing Liang is the poster boy for Chinese mixed martial arts. He's really delivered that sport for the UFC in China. They're giving him a great high exposure fight. He's earned it, but he's 35. He's durable as he can be. He's tough as leather. But when you're durable and tough, you're not necessarily flashy, fast, precise, and quick. And the guy he's fighting is flashy, fast, precise, quick, and a killer, Carlos Prates. Prates will win this fight in a one-sided decision. I like the over in this fight because I do think Jing Liang still has enough toughness and durability, and this is a big step up for Prates as far as level of competition is concerned.
Lou, let me ask you, let me just backtrack to the heavyweight fight. Great breakdowns, Lou. As far as Tuivasa, as you say, he's a pretty slow type of, typical prodding heavyweight type of fighter. And you got Rosenstruck, who's, been in there with some big-time guys. But one thing with him is he's a pretty patient fighter, right? He takes a little while. He'll eat a couple of shots. He likes to set you up. I mean, he's not coming in here, like spinning back kicks and like crazy stuff. So I'm just asking you about the over 1.5 at plus 155. I think we can get there, Lou.
I think we can. I like where you're going with that, and I tend to agree. Now, Rosenstruck has been threatening that we're going to see something. Well, every fighter threatens that, and he senses Tai.
Every fighter. I'm going to knock him out.
He senses Tai is big and somewhat immobile, and so he's going to try something, and I do think he'll get it done, but I think it'll take a while. Tai is desperate. He realizes that could be his career, so we're going to get his best effort. I think that translates into durability and an over, as you indicate.
And Cam, plus 155, 7.5 minutes. You know what I mean? It's not a bad price, actually, to hit. You know what I mean? You hit that in 1.5 rounds. Tuivasa's got a ton of heart. He's fighting at home. He's going to have that home crowd type stuff.
What about...
like I said, Tuivasa will be the one trying to stretch him early and try to knock him out and stuff, but I don't think he'll be able to. And I think Rosenstruck's just patient enough to wait him out and then just sort of catch him in the third round type of deal. Plus 155, Cam and Lou. I think it's worth a shot. I'm going to pull a trigger on it.
I agree. I was going to ask Lou, Gabe, about Stuart Nickel and Jesus Aguilar. That guy's Nickel's almost a $2 favorite. He's an Aussie. He's fighting out of Brisbane. What do you think about that one, Lou?
I'm glad you asked, Cam, because that guy is a debuting fighter from Australia, 8-0, and this fight opens Aguilar, who's coming in from Mexico, as the mark. They're shipping Aguilar in there to be the mark for this young Western Australian fighter, and Aguilar knows that. That's why they're shipping him in. Aguilar's 2-1 in the UFC. He's been in with good competition. The fight he lost is to a top 5 guy, so he's seen good competition, and he's in against a debuter. We know one thing with a Mexican fighter: he's got a beard, he's durable, and he's got good hands. I'm all about Aguilar here at a plus 200 price. I'm going to give him a try.
Really? Yeah, you think the freshman has a problem once he starts getting tagged a little bit, huh? Be
an MMA fight where Aguilar going to give this young kid his PhD.
Yeah, a lot of times too, Ken, we see these kids, they start getting tagged a couple of times, and it just turn into them to try to take them down. I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Remember, even the Rojas kid had a couple of growing pains, right, Lou? We saw that. You know? Yeah. He's a badass, that kid.
This property runs this community. A lot of people from this community work here. They're proud of this. This has got a lot of history here. And then when you think about the beauty with the hills, the mountains, the trees, the water.
One thing about this place is one of the words he kept saying, family. It's a place that when my family, everyone comes, they treat you like family. They treat you like you're one of their own. And it's, obviously when you look at the place, you look at the rooms, everything, it's like taking a step back in time. And I think that's an absolutely amazing place to be able to put your phone down and slow everything down. I mean, the world these days is so fast. Everything has to get done so quickly. And every time I've come here with my family at Greenbrier, it's like everything stops and it's slow motion. You actually get to enjoy life, enjoy your time with family.
Just this place feels like I'm a kid again. You get out here and you see nature, you see the trails, you see going on a hike. I grew up in Fresno. We'd go up to the mountains every once in a while, and that's just kind of what it feels like a little bit. Obviously, it's more forested here and whatnot, but the 58, I don't know how to explain it, just kind of semi-blacked out, you can kind of say. It was one of those moments where the last 4 holes, I was obviously trying to win a tournament, but it started to rain, and I just kept focusing on my game. I didn't get outside of this bubble that I created with myself. I just wanted to focus on hitting the next best shot. And I think that's what really pushed me on to focusing on, obviously winning the tournament, but to shoot in the 50s and then ultimately make the 40-foot on the last hole for 58. That was just the cherry on top. And what a special moment, a special place in my heart forever, and probably one of the most special moments in my entire life.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. We're kicking it with the great Gambler, Cam Stewart in the house with us. Great breakdown. We went over the main card. I like that Cam asked about the Aguilar and Nickel fight. So you're thinking Aguilar's a live dog here, Lou, coming in at plus 170. As I stated, a lot of these youngsters, it's the first time. It's tough. I've heard so many fighters over the years. They all say the same thing. They all said, I heard it was going to be a big deal, my first fight in the UFC. And I was like, whatever, dude, it's a fight. Like, it doesn't matter. And then they all say that until they're there. And then they're standing there, and suddenly the hot-ass octagon girl's right beside them, and they're like, oh, this is real. Huh? And Dana White's standing there. And you realize, hey, man, my life's on the line here. This is real. Minus 200 there. Before we talk a little football on the way out, Lou, anything else here catch your eye? Song, Glenn, Nolan, Reyes. We got Jenkins and Burns, O'Neal, Santos as well.
O'Neal, Santos, that's
Do
another
they want
fight.
the Aussies to win? Are there other Aussie fighters being set up to win here? I guess that's my question. Sorry, Lou.
And you can tell by the price. Nolan's set up to win. This kid, Nicole, he is set up to win. You look at this other fight. I'm going to give you a live dog. O'Neal, who's a Scottish fighter, fighting a ship in Luana Santos from Brazil, so there's no home team here, really. But what I will say is that this fight opens with O'Neal at minus 155. Now she's plus 120. It's based on her last two fights. One was she was coming off injury against Jen Maya, fought a good fight, but just probably came back too soon. Her last one was a stinker, but this girl can fight. She's well-rounded, has submission and striking game. And Luana Santos, shipping in from Brazil, fought a couple months ago. She's young and she's learning, and this fight should be priced with O'Neal as the favorite, not the underdog. I like O'Neal a good deal here, more than likely via decision, because that total is priced 2.5 over, minus 250. So don't be afraid to try O'Neal via the decision at plus 200 either.
Now, when I went to Arizona, I went to the World Baseball Classic. I hooked up with Lou at the book near the stadium. It was a great time. It was great seeing you. And I was there for the Super Bowl as well, and I did enjoy it. And now the D-backs are rolling right now, so who knows? Maybe the Dodgers and D-backs will collide in the playoffs again. But one thing, Lou,
We'll try not to sweep you again this year, Gabe.
Yeah. Try not to get swept in the World Series.
Wow. What's with the guest, Gabe? 13 seconds.
I know.
It's Get Morency week here on the program. Yeah,
you
come on.
Get trolled by D-back fans. D-backs. I can live with the Chiefs camp. I can live with the Chiefs, but I'm not getting trolled by a D-back fan. You know what I'm saying?
That was awesome.
Lou's the best. I love you, Lou. I was just about to give you love, but now I hope they go 2-9. I'm going to say, how about them Arizona? Yeah, how about those Arizona Wildcats? Yeah. To say, but the Arizona Wildcats, actually, going into a new conference this year. They got a new coach coming over from San Jose State. I've always been a Brennan fan, actually. He's a good guy. This is a bigger stage, much tougher conference, man. Like, he used to coach for Moral Victories at San Jose State, right? There ain't no Moral Victories now in this conference. But you've got like a Heisman Trophy candidate caliber quarterback, and I thought it was great. The fact that the coach left, Lou, and so many players stayed, and it was because of the quarterback. Quarterback told him, he goes, guys, I ain't going anywhere. He goes, we're going to win football games. We're going to put points up on the board. So I was about to say, maybe I'll come down and we'll go to a Wildcat game, but
amazing.
I'll be cheering for the Sun Devils, maybe.
There you go.
Well, I'm a U of A alumnus, so I'd be happy to take you to a game. And I can tell you that I think the Cats have their hands full this year. That other
7.5 the win total.
Yeah, that's an under. That's a dead under. I got it at 8 a little earlier, and that's where I went to school. So you can tell
wow.
I'm a mercenary. I got no heart for nothing except profit. And I like Arizona to go under.
Got heart for nothing but profit. What a line. That's amazing.
I'm glad I brought it up. See, Lou. See, Camp, for a guy who says he only bets on NFL, little hockey, and fighting, he's always got other tickets in his pocket.
Oh, I know. Lou's got hands in many different pies, Morency. That's fact, Jack. You know it.
Thank you, Lou. Check out Gamblou.com. Follow Lou on X at Gamblou. And get all the links to all of his stuff. Excellent breakdowns as always, Lou. Thanks for the time, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. Good luck.